about fourth wall. I wasn't sure. Just asking, but I thought it was good on fourth wall. So as if there was no audience. So you're confounded to that reality. That's what I thought.
And also, I know it's your first time. Everybody has an opinion. Everybody. And this class isn't about, I ain't using the word class, this group, this session is not about right or wrong. It's about confidence. Because one thing I used to do in my school, they used to make us argue both sides of a question, whether you believed in it or not. We had to argue convincingly that the sky is purple. So it isn't about right or wrong, it's about standing up behind your words without apology. Because we have to present a piece of work that has no apology. I hate going to see things and like, oh, I'm sorry, this may not be very good. It's as good as you think it is, and it's as good as you are. Opinion, stand behind it. Someone else, what's naturalism?
Keeping it, for me, keeping it as organic as possible. Real, straight from your soul. Keeping it natural.
Naturalism for me represents first story that came to my head was A View from the Bridge by Arthur Miller. I mean, I think that was a great story, and I studied that. Yeah, I mean, just actually being caught in the moment, the character actually presenting himself as not being flamboyant, not being extravagant, you know, not being over the top and Shakespeare kind of. It's actually real life stories. But I mean, Shakespeare, I guess, can be redefined and be told and conveyed in a different way. But realism to me is like, you know,
don't tell me,
the moment, being caught in the moment.
It's like a photograph without Photoshop.
Yeah. Photograph without Photoshop.
Yeah, I hate Photoshop as well.
No, you said that's
It's like Picasso. No, it's like Picasso used to do his, his masterpiece, and then somebody else didn't like it and perfection it. Yeah. I don't see the reason of Photoshop, but that's just me. This is my opinion.
My limited understanding of naturalism, especially in the drama thing. I mean, I did English Literature and Performing Arts as A-levels. Well, that was many a moon ago. I was just thinking now while some of you were talking, when you really learn how to ride a bike, and when you really rehearse learning to ride a bike, it's a bit of a rhetoric. How do you define that in your own minds? When you're actually learning how to ride a bike for the first time, either doing it yourself or watching your kid do it, or someone, you know, and it being rehearsed. Obviously they both have complications to it, but they're different complications.
It's becoming, I think it's becoming comfortable with me, rather than acting per se, it's being. And I can't remember who, there's a quote I liked, I think it might have actually been Michael Caine, who said, don't act leaning, just lean. So it's that sort of natural for me, would be.
I think that's what you strive to do as well. It's finding that point. You mentioned when you actually learn to do something and then trying to remember that. And that's what I think, because for me, naturalism is just complete truth. Whatever it is, whatever character, whatever practitioner said, whatever it is, it's just complete truth to that character in that moment. And trying somehow to find that moment, that memory, that first memory, that when the first thing ever happened, and just trying to place yourself there, like one eye out, one eye in, like trying. So yeah, it's hard. I think it's really, really challenging. When you find it, it's really amazing.
I want to hear from the people that haven't said anything as well.
Is it working instinctively?
Excellent.
I've never heard the term before, but I would say it's working instinctively.
That's half and I haven't heard it before. Anna.
To draw on, I forgot your name really. Des.
Mine, I don't have one.
Nameless boy over there. Started to say things like when you learn to ride a bike, this kind of stuff. And lots of actors do a lot of method acting, so like Robert De Niro for, I can't remember the name of the film, went and boxed for a while, so he's actually Raging Bulls, who can box that. But I think what it's about sometimes is you're not always going to have that emotional memory. You're not always going to be able to go, oh, I did that when I was 4 or whatever else. So you've got to be able to remember something that you might attach yourself excuse me, to that character, but also be able to detach your feelings from it. So you're still portraying that character in a natural sense, using something from your feelings or what you've done in your memory, but being able to simultaneously take that away from the performance as well. Does that make sense?
So using it as a starting point, you mean, and building on it?
Yeah, so my opinion is that you won't always be able to go, oh, I can relate to that, but you will be able to go, oh, I can kind of relate, you know, like, quick example, say Michael Jackson.
Let me just stop you just for a second. I really need all of you to engage everybody else. I really do. Because what happens is if you don't engage anybody else, it just becomes a monologue. And people lose interest. We have got to start engaging. I really got to see that. Carry on.
I was just going to say a silly example just off the top of my head. So Michael Jackson was perhaps accused for something he didn't do. And so maybe when you're a kid at 5 years old and your brother's going up on you and say, she did it, she did it. Like you could think about how you felt and then sort of relate to it. So it doesn't always have to be something, because you're not always going to experience something that is in your character. And so I feel it's about emotional memory, but applying it and being able to detach yourself from your part of it, but playing the character and using it. So.
Can that person start?
I just want to say, this whole emotional memory thing, sometimes I don't always believe that's applicable. Sometimes I just think it's about being present. Sometimes I just think if you shout, so if you're in a situation and you need to shout, you don't always have to have a reason to shout. You just fucking shout. Done. Full stop. So I think if you're being present, so I swear, you're being present in the moment, as in you're being here now. You know, if I'm talking about, you know, being natural, it's as natural as it's going to be at this moment. So I think it's all about now. Any emotional memory from the past can sometimes be quite irrelevant. It's just at the moment.
Okay. Sometimes you've got to play a character.
Yeah, still, yeah. I mean, I agree. You are playing a character, but the character's now. He's not in the past. So I don't think. So obviously, it's like, you know, finding the relation to that situation in the present. I think sometimes going back kind of makes it preconceived, in my opinion.
So you don't always have an intention?
Yeah, you know, I think an intention, but an intention now. Not an intention as in a preconceived intention, but an intention as in bring it to the present.
The difference being that when you're creating a character, everything has already been laid out for you, and you've got to find those intentions to make it in the now, which is, you know, the difference between just me saying this as I am right this minute. So, and in fact, I completely believe that everything we do, even me just talking randomly now, there is an intention and a motivation behind it. So when creating that character to make it real right this minute, you can actually break it down to those little intentions, and it will make it more alive.
I agree with intention.
Another question. One thing with those kind of things, those kind of what I call debates, we can have those kind of debates out there. Well, we can stand here and talk about naturalism until Jesus comes back. We don't have time for that. Okay, I just want to find out where we are just all. I don't think anything that anybody said in here is wrong at all, because at the end of the day, it's what the actor needs to get them to and through the part. So if I used to make faces at myself. Whatever that's going to get you up there and do that part, baby, that's what you use. Okay, and it can be natural to you, because there's all kinds of schools of thoughts of this and that and whatever. You know, at the end of the day, you have to get up there and find a way of doing it. It's as simple as and as difficult as that. Can Shakespeare be naturalistic?
Yes.
Yes. So it's not about a kind of play; it's a style, right? Yeah. Yes. Okay. One of the reasons why I asked it, because I think. And I feel, what I don't want to do is impose upon your what do you call it, your artistry, your creative spirit. But what I do want to do is guide it in a way that we can sell it, and in a way that we can actually include the audience as well. And I tend to think all these different kinds of styles can be, depending on the writing, inherent and a part of the piece. Because there should be, in a good situation, especially one that we're trying to create, naturalistic elements, but there might be absurd elements, might be nightmarish elements, depending on the writing. But what I want us to be able to do as performers is be able to use all those different colors to engage an audience. So this is for the writers and also for the performers as well. If we're going to use all those different colors, we got to know what those colors are and what they can do. Because then we can actually mess those colors up and do something else with them. You can't know if you don't know the rules, you can't break them. You understand what I'm saying? Okay. Let's hear what this synopsis says.
Okay.
And for the people that haven't the first time, since we're trying to create an original piece that's going to have a reading somewhere around the March 10th area, we've got to write this thing really, really, really quickly. I do believe before you can actually write something, you should have at least a map of what it is that you're trying to write. And when we're trying to find out who is going to write this or how many is going to write this, at least we have a common ground, a common synopsis that we can all agree is that that's the story I want to tell, and we can move on from there. So that's the only reason why we started this way. Plus, I look at it this way too. Everything that I've had to sell, screenplays, books, everything, they've always asked a synopsis or a pitch, because they ain't gonna read it. They just, if you don't catch them in that first sentence or those first 4 lines, next. Yeah? Okay.